Call is now being recorded.
Robert is here. Are people getting an echo? Okay. Robert, I think the echo is coming from you. If you wouldn't mind staying on mute unless you're talking, that would be helpful. Perfect. Okay, it's 9 o'clock, so in the interest of everybody's time, we'll go ahead and get started here. Before we turn it over and make our introductions, just a few housekeeping procedures. First of all, this is very much a discussion today. Jimmy and Robert are going to talk about some of their experiences, but we do expect there to be a lot of back and forth. So if and when you have questions, feel free to unmute yourself and jump in. You can also put questions into the chat and I'll prompt them when necessary. However, when you're not speaking, stay on mute so there isn't any background noise or echoes. Video is 100% optional, but feel free to turn it on if you'd like. Sometimes it's nice to see faces with the voices. Please do not hit the button at the bottom of your screen. It's a rectangle with an up arrow that'll share your screen and interrupt the presentation. If you have any technical issues, please put those into the chat and I'll do my best to help you through those. Be aware that most of the time those issues stem from your own Wi-Fi connections. And finally, we are recording this session, so if you need to refer back to it or would like to share it with any of your colleagues who weren't able to join this morning, you will be able to on our YouTube channel. With that, I'd like to have Jeff Surratt make a quick introduction, and then we'll get started.
Morning, everybody. So thanks again for taking the time. I hope these Golf Ops discussions are beneficial to everyone, but really appreciate Jimmy and Robert helping us out today. This panel came as a suggestion from another member, asking about, hey, there are obviously other options in the industry other than just being a green grass golf professional or an instructor. When you think about all the different career tracks that we can take as golf professionals, this is a unique one, and they're from a percentage basis, I don't have the exact number, but I would say it's a small percentage of our members that have gone into the owner-operator role during their career. So, what we're going to do today is have Jimmy and Robert talk a little bit about their journey, what pushed them in this direction, some do's and don'ts, some best practices, and then maybe a look back at, hey, listen, if I had a chance to do this over, what are some of the things I might do differently? But if you don't know them, obviously Robert Kleckner, I think Robert's closing in on, we talked the other day, closing in on 30 years as a PGA member. He's been at Linfield National now over 20 years. So Robert, thanks so much for taking the time. Jimmy, are you a quarter century member yet, pal?
I don't think so. Probably close. I think.
Yeah, you got to be really close. But Jimmy's at Kimberton. How long has it been with you at Kimberton now, pal?
I started my career here. This is a family-owned and operated course.
Oh, there we go. So
I've been right out of college, 25 years. Yeah.
That's great. All right, awesome. So I'll turn it over. We'll start with Jimmy. Jimmy, why don't you kind of just give everybody kind of that that snapshot of how things got started for you and what maybe the differences you might see in the career track with other members, obviously the folks that and then we'll get the conversation started, pal.
Sure. Happy to do that. I'm in a fairly unique situation and kind of, I guess, privileged in a way in that my family started this golf course. My grandfather bought the land in 55. By 62, he turned it into a golf course. He was the head golf professional at University of Penn. So at a young age, I had access to a golf course. Didn't play much until I was probably 13, 14. But once I did, it just took off. Loved it. Went to college out at IUP with the hopes of, cultivating my golf career. Played in a couple NCAA championships and got trounced. And at that point, I realized I better learn how to teach the game and run a golf course rather than than trying to go to the PGA Tour route. So I got my degree. I started here in 1999, 2000. At that point, went through the PGM, or I forget exactly what it was called back then. Did that over about 4 or 5 years. Got my card, was teaching, and just worked here. My grandfather at that point had stepped aside. My uncle, Robert Hayes Jr., was running the golf course, so he was my head professional, kind of my mentor. And did that for 10, 15 years. And I guess late 2015, 2016, an opportunity came for my brother and I to purchase out a silent partner of the golf course who owned about 30%. Once we did that, it got the family kind of talking about would we want to try to go the rest of the way. And I didn't. I only had 2 mortgages on my house at that point in time, and it didn't seem like. But my brother convinced me that it was the right move, and we did it. It was stressful. It was I would definitely do it again. But yeah, it took a lot of courage, probably more on my brother's side than mine. I was just along for the ride for part of it. But yeah, here we are 8 years later, and I mean, I would change a lot, but I'm happy where I am and where we are as a family, as a golf course. It was always my grandfather's dream to make this property stay a golf course. And I think the family before us, they were getting to the point of retirement, and we weren't sure what the future was going to be. So we were happy to step up and kind of take the reins here.
Obviously, you and your family having the risk of the entire property. When you look at what other golf professionals are doing in the industry as a golf professional at a facility, what would you tell somebody, as far as the, whether to make that kind of a move or not? Like, what were some of the pitfalls you would tell folks to stay away from, or some of the obvious advantages, but some of the maybe the hidden advantages that you all and your family see, owning the property yourselves?
Sure. I would say one of the pitfalls we fell into, we bought the golf course at a time that we were negotiating the sale of our liquor license. We had one of those old school liquor licenses that is transferable. We found out there, as a golf course, we can get a special exemption liquor license, which would allow us to sell ours. So while it was incorporated in the price of us buying the golf course, we initially then had a pretty big windfall of cash at our hands, which we thought was this great opportunity. And of course, in our minds, was a fixer-upper, and we kind of went wild. We just had this, if we build it, they will come mentality. We gutted the entire facility inside, made this beautiful bar and grill. We spent probably $50,000 in just adding trees whenever our golf course was taking them down, and put these beautiful red maples everywhere, just adding these things that we thought would just make our facility pop. And almost expecting an instant return. And that was kind of a slap in the face there, where it was like, oh, we spent this money quick and we're not instantly seeing more revenue coming in. That was probably the biggest thing I would have changed, is maybe slowed down our expectations and this idea of just, if we build it, they will come, from miles away. And it was 2016. So there was a couple of tough years there in the golf industry, as it was maybe declining a bit. We were accelerating our spending and accelerating our how aggressive we were in trying to pursue new golfers, and it was a tough couple of years. It really was, but it's worked out. Obviously, the COVID years changed things for us, and we were already seeing an uptick before that, as slow as it might have been. But yeah, that was our biggest challenge, I think, is not realizing how long it takes to kind of create that change that we saw, and how quickly customers would realize what we're doing and embrace us.
That's great. I think now, we're seeing a lot of facilities kind of coming off of COVID, being cash flush, trying to, do some stuff like that and invest back in their facilities, so that, either maintaining memberships or bringing in new ones for sure. Did you, I guess, during, when you look back over the years, when you guys floated through kind of the recession of 08, 09, I know your family you weren't in the position you're in now as far as ownership is concerned, but how did you all manage through that, kind of downtime as well?
Yeah, sure. I was working here. I wasn't as involved in the financials of it, but certainly, I saw the toll it took on my uncle and those at the time. We were, probably in a slightly unique situation, being kind of a middle, even lower end rate structure facility. We were kind of seeing golfers that may have been playing, some courses around us that were considered more upscale or even just mid-scale. They were coming here because we were charging 10, 20, 30 bucks less than a competitor. So I think that helped us survive some of that, but there were some lean years that I remember putting off equipment we needed, trying to figure out how to finance certain things. I'm glad I wasn't in charge in that time. I think I would have, my blonde hair be gray right now. But
at least you have it. Wait till my story, then you know why I look the way I look.
I love it.
All right, cool. So, Kleck, why don't you jump on from there? Why don't you give everybody kind of a, the same kind of synopsis of your kind of trajectory and journey with Linfield, and a little bit of a backstory, and then kind of, how you got to where you're at, pal.
Great, and thank you for everyone joining the call. And they got Jimmy and Andy Barbin are not only colleagues but two of my best friends. So we collaborate a lot on different issues that we may have, as owners and as operator and owners. So I came from the public golf course. I didn't start golfing until I was a senior in high school, and I was a cart kid at Lang Middletown Country Club. Ended up somehow coming through the ranks of private clubs. I got a job up at Cherry Valley up in Princeton. I wasn't a great golfer, so I opened up the book and see who the golf professional of the year as teacher of the professional was Ted Sheftick. So I used to drive from Princeton to Hanover Country Club to take lessons. That's why I always was a forward thinker. I always went outside the box. When I went through school, when Jimmy and I went through school, we went through school 1, school 2, school 3. I could have went to Pittsburgh. I decided to go to San Francisco. I don't know why. I just did. I was the only kid there from the East Coast in school 3, and they're asking me, what do you like? Wasn't there anything closer? And I'm like, I just wanted to expand myself. When I teach an entrepreneur class at Your Science College, and I say network. I always worked on my network, but it was a TV channel, and I did it organically or naturally. So back on topic, I apologize. I ended up playing in a pro-am out in Pebble Beach, and I sat next to Willie Scholl. He hired me on the spot to come work at Gulf Mills. And I was there a couple of years. And then we had a ladies pro-am, and Dave Craig hired me to be the first assistant at Commonwealth. And from that point, there was a member at Commonwealth that was a real estate agent, and he had a gentleman that he was friends with that needed a partner in a 9-hole course. I was fortunate enough to play with Vernon Hill. If anyone knows him, he came up through Burger King and a lot of banks. And I walked in the office, and he gave me an uncollateralized loan, which is unheard of. And if you're looking to purchase anything, I don't care if it's a home, a business, the biggest obstacle is the bank. And so if I was going to give anyone advice, get in bed with a bank. Get in bed with a bank. Get in bed with, be loyal. Be loyal to a bank. Be loyal. Show them that who you are. If you may own your own pro shop now, and you may someday want to expand it and own 5 pro shops, or you want to do a couple indoor facilities. If you have a bank on your side and they know that you're loyal, they know you're consistent, they know that you pay your bills on time, they know you pay your taxes. That's my biggest advice. And that's not just in the golf business. That's in any business. I say I'm an entrepreneur, and golf happens to be my product. So from that point on, I was there. I had a fortunate enough to sell my interest in that after 3 years, and I came to Linfield National in 2000 with 2 builders, and these 2 builders wanted nothing to do with the golf business. They wanted the land around it. So they had other projects that I was running at multiple courses, At the same time, 07, 08 came, builders stopped building. I thought they stopped paying me for 2 years. I didn't own anything yet here. So I was, at the time, I was looking to get out of the business, or looking for a job. Either Sunnybrook came up. There's a couple professional jobs I was applying for. Unfortunately, my wife is locally and she had a great job. So for me to move out of the Philly section was not really an option. So I had to either take a lesser of a job or physically get out of the business. So I started through my contacts. I interviewed with Wawa and Yingling and a couple people, insurance companies and stuff, but I still was always coming to Linfield every day and not getting paid. And I don't think anyone understands, anyone that owns a business, what I went through. And I just had 2 kids. I just bought a house. So I had a lot of stuff going on, and I kept stuff behind the scenes. No one knew how I really felt when I walked into work. No one knew what was going on behind the scenes. So I'm fortunate enough. I got a great attorney. He was a president of Green Valley at the time, and then of course I got in tight with the bank. I collateralized my house. My wife and I got in a huge argument over that, which is we could lose our house if the golf course went under or something happened here. And I went back to the banker and I said, if I don't miss a payment in 2 years, would you uncollateralize my house? And they actually agreed upon it. But I had an automatic payment and I had a line of credit set up. So I already had my safety valves that unless there was a nuclear bomb attack up here, there's no way I could lose the golf course or lose my house. But there's still always that chance. And then it was tough. You know, Jimmy and I went through tough times, 14, 15, 16. You had the Golf Nows coming in the industry that were just, crushing the public golf courses. And you had these third parties that were taking away revenue from us for tee sheet. And then unfortunately, but fortunately, COVID happened. And then we're in way different space now. We're Jimmy and I think Andy's on the call now. We're in great space. But we paid our dues. I mean, I sold 12 golf carts to make payroll in 2013. So when you're talking about, and then I had to rebuy them back in the spring, and I have story after story after story that a lot of people have no idea, what Jimmy and some of the other golf course owners have gone through. But yeah, so it's great. It's great, but I never stopped. I never took no for an answer. I love this section. I love this business. I've been in this PGA professional 30 years. I got my membership in 1995 when I was at Golf Mills, but honestly, I've been in the business probably another additional 5 on top of that through college and as a cart kid. So at least 35 years. And, anyone can always pick me up. Pick up the phone and call me and ask me anything. I'm always available on my cell. And I always promote this section. And, Jimmy and I and a couple of us are involved in the Pennsylvania Golf Course Owners Association. We're just, that's kind of what's a quick snippet of my story. So.
Yeah, I'll bring some of the other folks in. I know Andy's on, I know Patrick's on, but we'll start with Jimmy. So Jimmy, what would be, a couple of quick pieces of advice if any other golf professionals were looking to get into, the owner operator role?
I think for me, because I wasn't 100% expecting to do it when I did it. And my owner GM, when I would come in here before, not to put him down anyway, but he'd be on the computer and I'd see like building up a basketball up or something like that. And I thought I can do that. And that part seems easy. So, I took over. I did not hire an assistant. I just kind of figured I could do both. Didn't make enough phone calls. Clark and I probably started talking a year or two after I bought the golf course, and it saved my sanity. It probably saved the business too. I just made some assumptions that it wouldn't be that hard. That the back end would just kind of take care of itself. I could still be out there. I taught for about a year or two after until I just realized that I'd be on the lesson tee, not even seeing the last 4 balls that were hit, because I was thinking about 6 other things in my head that had to happen as soon as I got off of that lesson. So definitely, I mean, Clark touched on it, networking, just, reach out to contacts, especially the owners I've talked to have been phenomenal, kind of educating me, bringing me up to speed on how to do this job, because it was overwhelming, and it still is. But knowing that when things get funny, you can make that phone call, talk with someone else who's going through some of the same stuff, or maybe had done that, a year or two ago, and just has the advice that you need to hear to kind of get you to that next step. That's my best advice I can give somebody starting out in this.
Like, how would you expand on that? Like, pieces of advice for anyone,
Well,
looking to make that move?
I think, and Jimmy talked about his liquor license, and for those people that don't know, we're like, you can either own in Pennsylvania, I'm speaking on behalf. If you have a golf course of certain yardage or longer, you automatically can get a liquor license. And then back in the day, you had an individual liquor license that you could sell that may had some value, $200,000-$400,000. So like Jimmy and I, we automatically get a license. So back to your question, Jeff, is you need to have, I have a liquor license. I have my spraying license. I have a food and beverage license. I have my serving safe food license. So if anyone getting into the business, I have a bonfire permit. Jim and I have to have all those things under our umbrella, because if my superintendent leaves or my general manager that takes care of my food and beverage leave, they take that with them. So there's a lot more things that we do, or whether it's a tip class, we can go storage permit for gas tanks. I mean, I can go on and on, certification on all the fire, fire extinguishers. And I don't mean to overwhelm you, but it is, when I start talking about it, it is overwhelming to think about, but you need to have all those things under your umbrella, renew them every year, and be really, really detailed on all that. Make sure you pay all your taxes on time. I mean, we can go on and on, that there's a lot of boxes that, as an owner and a PGA professional and a facility runner that we run, we're accountable for, and we have to keep current. Yeah.
I see Andy on there. So Andy, what would be a couple of nuggets that you would give to the group, expanding on what Jimmy and Kleck just offered up? You're muted, bud.
Sorry about that. Thanks, Jeff. Good morning, everybody. Good to see Jimmy and Gleck. They hit it on the nose. Here's the deal, right? So, for those who don't know me, I've been in the business I've been in the golf business for 48 years, just turned 59. Owner operator 3 courses down to 1, which I'm real happy about, to be honest with you. Gleck smiling, he knows what I'm talking about. But they hit it on the nose. So look, anybody can own a golf course, okay? However, what they just said, you got to be willing to. There's a lot has to happen, and Gleck what he just said is obviously Gleck knows everything. He's absolutely correct. There's a lot behind the scenes that you have to be involved with, and I'm here 7 days a week, and you got to love it. Number one, you got to love it, right? You got to love whatever you do, and we're a golf professional. We love the business. We love being around people. It's hospitality. But then there's the responsibilities. The key thing here is I'm responsible for 40 to 80 people, so in their livelihoods. So got to make payroll. You got to pay the mortgage. Right now, as Gleck said and Jimmy said, so I bought my partners out in 2015 with my wife. And when I was getting a mortgage, I went to 9 banks. Long story, I won't get into the whole details, but I did it with like 4 days left, because a bank was calling the note on all 3 golf courses anyways. Made it happen. But golf courses were on the bottom of the totem pole for getting a loan. Okay, they didn't want anything to do with us, right? It was just the way it was, because that time in our industry, the golf course were tanking. Everybody was for sale. Everybody was going belly up. I heard Jimmy or Gleck say they didn't get paid for a couple of years. Yeah, I didn't get paid for 3 years myself. And when you're an owner, you don't get paid. I still don't get paid. I get paid at the end, right? So, but now the banks will give you whatever money you want. So banks are all over golf course sales purchases now. So now is a good time. But you also got to pay 10. Now the interest rates are too high, and you gotta get it at the right price. You don't want to overpay. So my dad, my brother, and I, my brother was a PGA professional, still is. We were the partners, and we were trying to acquire. At one point, we wanted to get to 12 golf courses, and we got to 3. And then everything kind of hit the fan with illnesses, deaths, and the financial side. But anybody can do it. But you gotta, like Kleck said, I think you have to have the willing to have all those licenses. You know, when you have a superintendent that you need to fire, you can't be hostage. So you got to learn how to spray. You got to learn how to cut. So I worked in the maintenance department when I was younger for 9 years. So I can do anything on the maintenance side. So I can do anything on the food and beverage side. And obviously I can do anything on the golf side. So that's the key to running any successful business. You got to be willing to do anything and do everything. You know, I still clean the urinals because we have these flushless urinals, and I'm the only one that's willing to change the filters 3 times a year. So, you know, you got to be willing to do it all, brother. It's what it is, you know. You know, you got those owners, the owners here, Jimmy and Black. We do it all, right? We mop, we do it all. We take the trash out. I'll tell you what, if I walk by cigarettes on the blacktop, going to the pro shop, and I'm the 5th one to the pro shop, I can tell you I'm not happy, right? So, but I'll pick them up, and you got to be willing to do whatever. You can't ask somebody to do something you're not willing to do. So they see me picking up cigarette butts, they see me doing all the little things, and then they're going to do it too, right? So, but back to the positive side, it's a great business. It's what I love, you know. It's what I was born to do. And I know Gleck and Jimmy are the same way, and all you guys are. You got, you know, getting a bank relationship. I've had some bad banks, and then I have a really good bank right now, and I know Gleck feels the same way, and I guess Jimmy does too. And you know, that's important. So I don't know if I'm just rambling on. I mean, we could talk. We could talk for weeks. You know what I mean? All the stories. You know.
No, I think I think for this conversation, right, as you know, the other folks that are on the call, you know, if our golf professionals are looking at, you know, at this track as an option, you know, as you all that have kind of lived it for quite some time, right? You know, the idea of, well, would I do it again if I had the chance? You know, and what would I do differently if I had the chance again? But I know Patrick keeps on too. I know Patrick's an operator too. You want to add any thoughts to that, buddy, as far as, you know, kind of, you know, the journey there, and then any of the thoughts, any of your thoughts on, you know, hey, would you do it again? And you know, what might be some things you would do differently?
My journey was a wee bit different. I fell into the position where the owner wanted out, and it's a 92-year lease. So I didn't have to come up with an awful lot of cash up front, but cash is king. Like Andy said, you got to make payroll. If you're going to have a good staff, you got to pay them, and that makes your life that much easier. You have the right people in place to get the job done. My background prior to the golf business was managing a silly little convenience store called Wawa. That's how I learned how to make money. You have to, like Robert said, all the licenses, all of those things, you have to have it. If you look at it immediately like that, it can be overwhelming. But if you really love what you're doing and you have pieces in place to make sure that the finances are going to be there for you. I lost my greens the one year, and I lost $750,000 in my first year. I managed to survive that. I'm still coming back from it, but it's, again, you have to be able to go backwards before you start moving forward sometimes. It's for the love of doing this. I could, at this point, I don't know that I could ever work for anybody else again after being in this position. I don't know whether the other guys feel that way, but I just, sometimes having the last say on anything, the only person that I have to really answer to is the customer. As long as I'm taking care of the customer, they're going to be fine. Things will work out. So that's my thoughts on things at the moment.
Awesome. Thanks, Patrick. Jimmy, you had mentioned earlier about, before COVID, before things got really good here in the industry again, that you were looking for new golfers and targeting new golfers. How did you guys go about that? Because I know that can be kind of like pulling your hair out, getting in front of new people.
Yeah, for sure. At the time I took over, the course had probably, I mean, it did well, but it existed for a lot of years. But my uncle was in his mid-60s at that point in time, and so a lot of big expenditures were kind of pushed off. A lot of general stuff was just pushed off. And those were lean years, especially after 2008. So it made sense to survive. That was to kind of turtle in. So one of the things we wanted to really go after was, we've got amazing golf courses in our area, and we felt at that point in time we were serving, the golfer who was looking for value. And so that was our hope, was that if we can show them a better experience, if we can, we had no bar and grill really at all. We had a little tiny bar with I think 2 beers on tap, and one of them was Old Milwaukee or something ridiculous. So we gutted the inside, we exposed the barnstone, we made this huge U-shaped bar, we have 5 big TVs everywhere, trying to increase that experience from the golfer, and then in hopes, bringing people in that might not have played Kimberton. And it wasn't easy. At that time, we were hooked in with Golf Now, probably more than I would have been comfortable with. But they, at least if there was any value to me, it's that they were at least bringing in some golfers, whether or not they were sticking around, but they were putting eyeballs in front of the changes. And that was organically how we started to slowly kind of build this. I think there was a PJ meeting maybe in 18 or 19, I can't remember when, that we sat down in these little groups of like 4 or 5 and just talked about the industry. I think that year golf was down like 15, 18%. And we were up 3% from the year before. Everyone's like, "Yeah, what are you doing?" I'm like, "We're just spending a lot of money right now, and 3% is not going to cut it." But I think it was, slow but surely we were kind of seeing this train kind of starting to leave the station, where more people were seeing us, people who might have played, that middle upper scale golf course in their area, came here, saw it, experienced something they hadn't experienced when they played 10 years before, and started coming out a little bit more. And then our regulars embraced it, our members embraced it. So that was kind of how we hoped to do it. I thought it would happen faster than it did. We were kind of naive, but it definitely was like, let's put a better product out there. We have an opportunity. We had capital to do that. And then it was just, how do we get them here? How do we keep them here? But certainly for us, showing them that better experience and something different. Every time they came out, my dad was big on this, show them something different. One season he built this huge octagon patio that sits above our 18th green. It seemed extravagant, seemed not needed. Now I can go out there right now. We have a little fire pit. If the weather's nice, we'll see 15 people sitting on it, and I remember thinking it just wasn't going to work. People aren't going to, sit here, but they do. Trying to think of some other big ones we did, but it was always something that they could see. All our tee boxes, or most of them now, have like maybe a Japanese red maple with some flowers around it. Again, to me, I'm like, I'm playing golf. I don't care what my tee box looks like, but people do. And if they walk out and see the course, the first tee looking that much better, they perceive that the whole place is going to be better. And that's probably been our success story from then until now. We still look at what can we do in the off season that's going to make people walk out here and go, "Oh my goodness, look what they did." And it's worked so far.
Hey guys, I remember when I was down at Oliver, we had a leased concession there, so I didn't have to worry about food and beverage. But how do you all deal with your food and beverage? Do you have a lease concession, or do you all handle all the F&B at your facilities? Click. How about you?
I handle all my F&B. I go through I go to the food shows, and I was, probably same with Jimmy and Andy. I'm certified safe food handler and all that, but I run everything through myself. I have a manager girl that runs it through the summertime. I have a beverage cart, and as Jimmy said, you keep it new. I just purchased a new beverage cart. I got 60 new Yamahas coming in to keep it fresh, golf cart wise. So everything kind of I stay in my lane. I think a lot with any business, you have to stay in your lane, keep it efficient, keep it fresh. I don't do weddings. I have done them in the past. I did a prom during COVID. But that I deviated just because of the times, but I always stay in my lane. I have a good burger, good chicken, 6 draft beers, keep it fresh, buy local, and put a nice product out. I have a great hot dog, with some great options. It sounds funny, but we do I go a little bit extra, and then I do added value on items, give free bag of chips and, couple draft days on Masters weekends. Things are green, just things that would make it super simple. And then I buy in bulk. Like I was at Costco yesterday, and I buy a pallet of Coca-Cola or Gatorade or water from them. They deliver it, and I don't have to run around. You buy Coke from Costco, $16.95 a case. You buy direct through Coke, it's $24.95 a case, and through Cisco, it's $32. The same 24 sodas that are. It's unbelievable the differentiate. You think the Best Buy would be through Coca-Cola, but I do buy my bag and a box and stuff to maintain my fountain products through Coca-Cola. But so you have to be an outside the box thinker when you're running food and beverage, because margins are tight. We make them profitable because I don't do big weddings I don't have to have staff to run, dinners every night or anything like that. How about you, Andy? How do you run your food and bev? Is he still on mute?
Yeah, sorry, Greg. Yeah, you hit it all. Hey, Greg and I have talked about this many times. I go to Walmart and buy 32 pack of bottled water for $3 or $4, and I sell them for $2.50 a piece. It's the best profit margin that I have in the shop. But it's we do that once in a while, right, Gleck? So you have to do that. But food and beverages, when we were looking at a lot of golf courses, I think some of these guys here are private clubs. I mean, the killer is food and beverage. That's why these courses go for sale. The food and beverage are killers. I've seen more golf courses where they're losing $400,000, $500,000, $800,000, or pulling in $2 million, $3 million in food and beverage, but they're losing $500,000, $700,000, $800,000. I can name about 15 courses I looked at that was happening to. So Gleck's absolutely right. I just have a walk-up snack bar right now, but we charge. We have a great dog, the whole 9 yards. Now, I do weddings. I do catering. I started out in the fine dining business back in 1997, where I was a maitre d', and we had linens, and I had an executive chef and 3 sous chefs and a dessert chef and a salad chef and an ice sculpture and the whole 9 yards. So I've been in the restaurant business for 40 years now, right? But you can't pay me to have a restaurant anymore. So it's the worst thing ever. I tell my sons, I said, if anybody ever asks you to get involved in a restaurant somewhere and you're not a chef, pass. But
sure. Yeah,
but Greg's absolutely correct.
Yeah. 60% of restaurants fail, by the way. 60%.
Yeah, it's a big number. And a golf course restaurants, it's almost probably 90%, right? Unless it's still run like Kleck and I do, and Jimmy. Good hot dog. You have a hot dog bar, good hot dog burger, cheesesteak, crab cake. Good appetizer, cold beer, specials, and then we do catering. What I just did with I renovated our wedding venue. We have a really nice wedding venue in 2018. And, I just couldn't keep a chef on and pay him a big salary to just do hot dogs and do weddings every once in a while. So now what we do is I let the weddings, they cater out. They get their own food people. So all I do is now rent the facility and get the bar, and then we house it that way, and that's pure profit. And you can set up, well in advance, and it's easy on the staff. As we all know in the business, all you guys are all managers. Getting staff is very difficult. Food and beverage is the worst. So, keeping it clean and simple, like Gleck and Jimmy and I are doing, is the way to go. It's the profit margin is, it's the food. The snack bar makes a ton of money, and the beer, because I don't have chefs. I have girls that cook the food. I know Gleck's a cook. I'll make sandwiches if need be, but I'm not that good of a cook. But that's the way to do it. So
yeah.
I don't know if that answers anybody's question, but
Yeah, that's great. I guess throw it back to the group. Anybody else on the call have questions for our folks? You can just unmute yourself or hit the raise hand button if you like.
Hey, Owen. What do we think? Like, it seems like in this Philadelphia area, there's been a massive shutdown of, public golf courses. With Horsham and Limekiln and Twining and all these places. And what is it a profitability thing? Is it the land is so expensive and the trade-off of the easy cash in hand? Why are we seeing so many public facilities close down and do something different? Because obviously, golf's hot right now, but I guess cash in hand may be better. So what's your opinion on that? And I mean, do you guys see that continuing to be a trend of demising public golf from a quantity standpoint?
I know these
Yeah.
two guys have Andy has personal experience in it with his family, but I know when I worked for Meadowbrook, they always said the third owner of a golf course actually makes money, right? Like I don't know if that trend's still the same. Like when they would go in and they would acquire a golf course. So the market value of a golf course, again, this is going back a few years, was like 6 or 7 times the net operating income of that golf course as a value of a golf course. Now, Kleck and Andy probably talked to it a little bit more with Horsham, but I think, at some point an owner operator gets to the point of, okay, when or can I cash out of this operation? But I'll pass it back to the group. But that's just some of the
and I'll let Andy talk because he has personal experience. But I'll tell you one thing on that, Kevin, and that's a great question. I always said we're not going to see a golf course being built from Harrisburg to the Jersey Shore. I was wrong with that because Trout and Tiger Woods he's building a complex down in Millville. But as a public facility, Kev, the ROI to buy the land in the Philadelphia area, I'm talking Chester, Montgomery, Bucks County, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. And that was part, I think, of my success and Jimmy Mack's success besides COVID is, and I spoke on this in Harrisburg about the 12 courses that we've lost. But we've lost them for good reasons. We didn't lose them like Arizona or Florida or North Carolina because of real estate. We lost them because everything flipped around. Hospitals, Bank of America, school districts. So depending on what you see public courses, we're going to see more disappear than appear. If they're zoned R3 or zoned light industrial or zoned industrial, we're going to see, because by the time you figure out what you're going to make on your revenue, Kev, you can cash out. You can cash out. And again, Andy, you can talk about Horsham Valley.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different scenarios. But yeah, Greg, you're absolutely correct on everything you said. So Horsham was, it was a bank issue. So like I said before, we had 3 courses and 1 loan, right? 2 courses were performing, 1 wasn't. Horsham was the golden cow at the time. But also my brother lost his wife to cancer. My dad got Alzheimer's, and we had some financial problems with banking. Banking didn't want to see. We paid one bank 16 years, never missed a payment. They asked for 2 different pay downs. One was over $1.5 million and gave us 6 months. Yada yada yada, right? You have to do those things, and we made those things happen. I'll give you a quick show on the bank. So what also happened is a bank comes to us and says, okay, We want to pay down, but we're also going to increase your monthly payment from $20,000 to $60,000. So how's that monthly payment change? And they can do those things because that was when the bank crisis happened. That was in 2008, 2010, 12. We never missed a payment, was never late. They actually ended up calling the note, gave us 6 months. And banking, that was the time when banking wouldn't touch us. So but we got through it. We actually we found a way, and I won't get into all that, but Horsham was approached for, we had Horsham since 1977 all the way to 2014, 15 when we sold it. Was my brother's, or was our life, right? But we were approached every year, multiple times from builders because of where it was located. And my brother's time was out because he just lost his wife, and that's kind of what pulled the trigger on that. And also, these other things that were going on behind the scenes. So we did it because it was more of, we didn't have to, but it was the right time to do it. And then we had another course that we sold that was the one that was failing. And same scenario. I won't get into all details, but that one had to go away, and we lost money on that one. So we got hurt on that one.
Did that one sell for development, or did that sell to be something else?
So it was. It's a long story, but it's just I had a buddy of mine buy it so we could get out. Collector knows a little bit about it. And then we end up selling to them, and then it's going to be houses. We stayed in it with a percentage type of thing, but it had to go away, and that's away now. So that was the Northeast course. So so there's reasons for it all, right? Some have family issues where they just got to get out. Some have family issues or personal issues. They want to sell and make some money and retire. And then there's the bad performance of the golf course that you don't have a choice. The bank is forcing your hand. So we had 2 of the 3. Right, we had 2 of the 3. Bank was forcing the hand. The other one was family issues that had to get resolved. Right, so a lot of times, that's what happens. So it's everybody thinks courses are going away because they're trying to make a big profit, but a lot of it's because their hand is forced.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. True.
So
good point. I think back on if you want to get in the industry. And be in ownership, I highly recommend it. It is, as Patrick and Jimmy and Andrew, Andy.
No regrets.
No regret. I have 0 regrets. And but we're golf pros. We're mentally strong. We wear 30 different hats. We're
competitors.
We're competitors. I mean, we're
professional
great
athletes.
We're a great breed of people. So, but if you can't purchase a golf course, the leasing aspect is there's a great avenue because we do have quite a few that are either township owned or state owned that you have an opportunity. And my only advice, and I don't know if you have any partners, Patrick, but if you can do it alone, do it alone.
Absolutely.
I know if you can.
And you
do
can
it
do it
alone,
alone. You can do it alone.
Huh? What?
You can do it alone.
You can.
Yeah. 100%.
Yes, I am doing it alone.
Yes.
I know Patrick is. Yeah, I know Patrick is. I'm doing it alone. Awesome. Robert's doing it alone. Jimmy's got family. He's basically doing it alone. So
yeah, if you can do it alone. So
Jimmy said he's never alone.
Greg's got Wendy. He's got Wendy, and I got Alice, and so we're definitely not alone. They keep us going. Right?
Okay, maybe I'm not alone. Maybe I have one boss.
Those 3 wives have a coalition. You guys don't know about it, so
yeah, we
Treasure, Allison, and Wendy. Forget about it.
God bless.
But wait, Jeff, Jeff, one thing real quick, I just want to say, because we're trained to be managers, right? The golf professional, can do it, man. They're already managing the golf course. You're already managing the golf course. You already created a relationship with the superintendent. You don't need to be a superintendent to own a golf course. Right. You need to know how to manage, right? And then what's the only scary part in the beginning, and Patrick and Robert and Jimmy will testify to this, is get involved with the money situation on the bank and the financing side if you have to do that and have the line of credits. And then, but you're already all of us, all 28,000 golf professionals, obviously some assistants don't know it yet, but let's say whatever the number is, they can all own a golf course. If you have a house, if you have a mortgage on your house, it's the same thing. It's just a bigger number, but obviously you got a lot more responsibilities. Obviously, like I said, with the payroll and the people's lives that you're involved with, because you're the one that has to make the payment. You can't go to anybody else. Like these courses are down the street. Chevy Chase just is spending $14 million renovating bunkers.
Right.
I got the same company here, and I'm paying $300.
Yeah.
But where's 14 million coming from? They're coming from, they go to 200. They go to the members and say, okay, each one's got to come up with 10 grand or whatever,
Yeah.
$3 million, $4 million. I got to come up with the money.
Yeah, right.
Right. So a lot of these guys, it's false, right? It's like fake. Like it blows me away. Right. Click. I mean, it's just, so that's the scary part about the business, but any business you do, I don't care if you got a store in a plaza somewhere, you're paying a lease. It's the same thing. So all our golf professionals are trained. We can certainly do it. Everybody can do it, right, Patrick? I mean, everybody can do it. It's just, you got Jimmy, right? I mean, we've done it. You're already doing it. If you really want, there's plenty of courses for sale right now. Plenty.
And, Brian, on the PGM side, do you have do you see any of your students come through and kind of look to be that kind of entrepreneur on your end?
Not really. They there have been a few who have come from families who are in ownership, right? So they've thought about it a bit. There are some students who are getting a bit more entrepreneurial, but we're not really seeing a bunch of folks who are looking that far ahead. I think it's a tough question to ask of 21 and 22-year-olds.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think kind of like everybody's trajectory is a little different, right? Like as Jimmy kind of settled into a situation with his family and never having, been on the other side, right, Jimmy, and having to work your way into it versus some of the other guys that worked on the other side and kind of came and found their way in. I know we got a little bit of time. Anybody else on the call have any other questions for the group?
I go just as a, again, looking at this closure, like I feel like closure of public golf is terrible for golf in general, right? I mean, it's something that concerns me is, do we know, as far as the Golf Course Owners Association, like how many golf courses in our area are, zoned that way that are targets for easy exit for development?
There's quite a few. There's, hold on.
Are most of them?
No. So
lost you, Gleck.
Click didn't pay his internet bill, so it's kind of
Tough one.
yeah, right. It's tough. It's tight.
So cold winter.
Kev, I would say Robert's the past president of the PGO of the Golf Course Owners Association in PA, and I would say the majority of the member clubs in that are public access somehow, some way. But to your point, the majority of the golf courses that have closed in the area have been some sort of public access golf course. And, to Andy's points, there's a myriad of reasons why folks tap out, on that side. Here in the section for our facilities, we're about 40% some kind of private, whether it's private equity or private for profit. And then the rest are some kind of public, whether that's municipal, military, resort or public semi-private. So I think again, when you look at, places like, when Concert came in and they bought out Philmont and they bought out White Manor and they bought out North Hills, or Club Court came in and grabbed North Hills. I think, you're looking at things like that where, it's funny. I think at any point, any golf course can become susceptible to it. But, when you see what happened at White Manor, they came in and got 200 acres in the middle of Malvern for $5.6 million, right? And they only have to keep it a golf course for 10 years. So, what's the end game? When you look at some of the bigger companies that come in, what's their end game? Is there is their end game to run it past 10 years as a golf course, or is their end game to run it 10 years and then cash out on the real estate and on the land profit? But Robert, I'm sorry, you got cut off.
Yeah,
Go
I
ahead.
got cut off. Yeah. So what you're saying, Kevin, there's a fair amount that are zoned they're restricted. Like the Jeffersonvilles and Skipbacks and Mayfield Highlands and things like that. Then there's guys like myself, Jimmy, Ravens Claw's locked up. Turtle Creek I could go away. I can't speak for Jimmy. I think Jimmy can go away. Turtle Creek can go away. Not sure about like Neshaminy Valley and Northampton. But yeah, and a lot of these, even though they're restricted, there's ways you could trade land with zoning. Once you get in a township and they want development, there are ways. But back to what I reiterate is no one's building any. The land, there's no land.
Yeah.
Bucks County, I was trying to build a golf course in Bucks County at Court Creek Park. I came up with the idea. There used to be 3 private clubs in Bucks County at the time, handful of public, and everyone go to Jersey. So I always had that entrepreneur spirit, and I tried to push a golf course at Court Creek Park. I had it designed, I had it all done, and it just died. So maybe that could come alive someday. But there is no land unless you dip into I don't know what Patrick's land is. It's state land or county land or township land. But yeah, you'd have to go through, and I'm zoned light industrial. So you could do whatever you want with that within a reason. There'd be, red tape and hurdles and things. I don't know. Some of it's R3, which is residential. I don't know what Jimmy is. I know Turtle Creek is all that you can develop that whole property. I'm not saying it's going to go away, but you don't know. Gilbertsville just closed. That's gone. I know the Ridge at Backbrook's up for sale for $28 million if you want to go in that world. But that because that owner just passed away, so that's a little bit of a different situation. But there are stuff available. But yeah, and right around the corner from you, Kev, you lost Limekiln. Fortunately for me, we lost Center Square, right before COVID, which helped Jimmy and I. And some of these things, some of because it was so oversaturated after the Tiger boom. We never really got into talking about that. We had the 3 booms: the AOL boom, the Tiger boom, and then the COVID boom. And the thing about the Tiger boom, it got oversaturated, and we lost a lot of those golf courses due to attrition through the 2008 and then the rebound of real estate. So.
Talking about what my position is, mine's a spray field, essentially. The town, this is where the town uses to get rid of the last layers of the wastewater treatment. Same thing at Inniscrone, where I was at one point, and that's a public course. They will never be built upon because they need the spray fields. If the course goes under, both those facilities, mine and Inniscrone, they just have to maintain it because they have to maintain the spray fields. So I'm in a pretty good position. It's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
And yet I'm in one of the top 10 growth areas in the country. So they're not going to build anymore.
Oh, so Patrick, they take what's left of the non-potable water and they spray it on the golf courses?
I am contracted. I must spray so much water in a day, in a week, or whatever.
Wow.
In the wintertime, it gets shut down. So I have free water essentially, but I have to pay for chemicals that will
treat
that part of it.
Okay.
I have Odessa that's nearby. They have to pay for their own water,
right?
Which is a whole different animal.
Yeah, I've never heard of that.
Patrick, what's the name of your golf course?
Frog Hollow Golf Club.
Oh, Frog Hollow. Okay.
How about that? Come on, learn something new today.
Well,
cool.
there's a lot of my situation. I can't quite even think about getting out of it for a while until I get things straightened out with my landlord. I have two pieces of property. I have the golf course, and I also have the building, the 6.2 acres that the clubhouse sits on is owned by somebody else. And it's a very bad situation as far as that. I'm dealing with in excess of $150,000 in attorney's fees that I've paid. If I could get rid of that much, how much more profit is that? But I'm in it for the long game, and it will happen.
Yeah. Hey, Patrick, I got a quick question for you. Do you pay school tax or real estate taxes?
The landlord has it for the 6.2 acres, and I have to pay half of that. But for the golf course itself, no.
Yeah. See, that's where, a little bit of a disadvantage. We were talking about, Andy was talking about his neighbor spending 14 million. Well, my neighbor and Jimmy Mac's neighbor, Jeffersonville, spent 17 million in taxpayers' money to make that a better product. So Kevin, that's another issue. I don't know if he's still on the call, that we're competing against. And Jimmy and I have to pay school tax. Jimmy and I have to pay, real estate tax, where some of our colleagues that we're fighting against don't have to pay those taxes, and puts that as a business disadvantage. Also,
That's insane.
Yeah.
$17 million for.
Yeah, so they put $14 million in a new clubhouse in Jeffersonville, put all new indoor facilities that competes against me, and then they spend another 3 to 4 on the golf course. And they got a $7 million grant from the state. So that's what I have to deal with.
Is that because it's owned by the township?
Yeah, township. Yep.
That's great.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And they don't have to pay school tax or real estate tax, which I'm over 6 figures.
Listen, my goal is just to bring Twining Valley back. That's all I want to do.
Burn Bridge. That's where I started playing golf.
Airfield, buddy.
Burn Bridge.
I just want Andy Barber to adopt me because he's really wealthy.
You see those homes they built on Horsham? I mean, all that money. Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Everybody wants Barbin money.
Yeah,
right. Yeah, right. Yeah,
right.
right.
He's got more bread than a prison meatloaf.
Yeah.
Barbin money and Jimmy Mac hair.
Jimmy Mac hair, right?
Two boxes to check. That's what we're looking
Dude,
for.
I got to go to Jimmy Mac's barber, get his extra hair.
Salon.
Oh, anybody else on the call have questions for our folks? No. All right. Well, hey, gents, thanks so much for the time today. It's really eye-opening. It's great to see, the different pieces of our industry and how, and how folks, manage it. Sometimes it's easy to sit back and just assume, how everything goes down and that it's all, it's all rainbows. But, obviously you all put a ton of work and took a ton of risk to get where you're at. So kudos to all of you for taking that leap and making that journey. So, anybody have anything else to add before we close up?
But we're always open for questions. This is a family, right? We're all family. We're a fraternity. So, Patrick, I've talked in the past. Gleck, I haven't talked much to Jimmy, but but any of you guys, anybody. I mean, we're always here for creative ways to make some more money, even if you don't own it. Just a place that you're running and you're managing. We there's some tricks to the trade that we've learned over the years. We learned not to do. And we try not to make the same mistake twice, right, guys? So, we've all made mistakes, that's for sure. But we're like Lex says, we're available anytime to talk, right? So, we're always there. So,
yeah, and on that, and I'm going to add to that. So I have, many of you know, I do have indoor sims here. I have an open door policy. I just put all new Falcons up. I just bought all new Falcons. Got rid of all Foresight. So if anyone has any question, anyone has any technology questions, or even on the business side, I love to volunteer my time. And if you want to start, if you want to go buy a golf course, I offer my free services to any PJ members as a consultant to get you going. So
100%.
I'm always there. And if you want to grab my cell or get my email anytime. So
Yep. Likewise. Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, thanks everybody. We'll give you back
Thanks,
the rest
guys.
of the day. If there's anything we missed today or anything you like, let us know. We obviously have the group's contact information if anybody's looking for it, so we can share that with the group as needed. So, all right, Matt, anything else to close out?
Nope, that's all.
Yep.
Thanks, everybody.
All right, buddy.
hey,
Thanks,
all right,
Jeff.
Matt and Jeff, thanks
Thanks,
for
everyone.
everything.